Hey guys, Whitney here. Welcome to our Tuesday Passive Investing Made Simple Masterclass. I'm your host, Whitney Elkins-Hutten. I'm the Director of Investor Education here at PassiveInvesting.com, and I am so excited for you to be joining me today. We are going to talk about the top 5 legal benefits of investing in passive real estate. Now, I am not a lawyer, okay? So just the complete disclaimer here, but these are just going through the top, actually 10 advantages, not just 5, but 10 advantages of investing in passive real estate as opposed to not investing at all or trying to, run your own portfolio. So give me just a moment. I'm going to share my screen here. But while we are waiting for everybody to join in, this is a live masterclass that we do every Tuesday. So you can learn the ins and outs about passive investing and just become more comfortable and confident going into your next deal or maybe even your first deal. So if you haven't done so already, make sure to check out PassiveInvestingWithWhitney.com. There you can fill out a quick little form. I get to know you a little bit better, but we can talk about your investing goals. We can also connect you to various resources within our ecosystem here at PassiveInvesting.com, and you get priority access to our open deals. All right. So let's dive into today's topic. We are going to talk about those top 10 benefits, legal benefits that you get whenever you invest in passive investments. So again, the whole reason why we do this masterclass is maybe you've tried investing before and then just couldn't quite get comfortable pulling the trigger, making the investment, or you invested in a deal already and you're like, oops, I think I made a mistake. Or you're just completely overwhelmed by all the information out there and you just don't know how to put all that information into action. And maybe it's kept you stymied and on the sidelines. If we haven't met already, again, my name is Whitney Elkins-Hutten, and this is the whole reason why I invest passively, and this is me and my crazy crew here. I started off real estate investing in 2002, living, flipping, and house hacking, then eventually scaled a 36-unit single-family rental portfolio. And then, still doing fix and flipping on the side, and then, transitioned into larger real estate investments whenever I kept butting up against some ceilings of achievement. How possibly can you, make all these, build the scale, build the portfolio that you probably need to create true financial freedom in your life, but also get your time back so you can go do what your higher calling is here, what you were put on this earth here to do. And that's exactly what I try to help investors here at PassiveInvesting.com discover for themselves. What are their goals, their risk and timeline? How should they be utilizing this wonderful investment in real estate to maximize the returns in their portfolio? Fast forward today, here's just some stats on my own personal portfolio: 6,500 multifamily units in partnership, 2,200 self-storage, some express car washes thrown in there. And really all this has helped me do, okay, those numbers have helped me achieve one result, which is 100% choice, freedom of choice on how I spend my time. Now, there's so many freedoms that we might, individually be pursuing, like financial freedom, freedom of time, freedom of choice, location freedom, freedom to create that impact in the world. But this is what lights me up every day. This is what gets me out of bed, is helping people like you understand the power of investing, particularly passive investing in real estate. How can we leverage that in order to achieve those freedoms in our own personal lives? And we can help you do that here at PassiveInvesting.com. We have some 1.4 billion assets under management in our portfolio and very strong returns to our limited partner investors. Now, today we're going to be talking about those top 10 tax advantages. Okay, now these aren't just specific benefits, right? This isn't advantages. Where do you get a hedge when you invest in passive real estate, a hedge legally, okay, as opposed to not investing in passive investing at all, or perhaps running your own real estate investments, owning your own controlled real estate. Now remember, I am not a lawyer. So, anything that we cover here, financial, legal, tax advice, make sure to consult with your team before making any investment decision. All right, so let's dive into these benefits here today. Now, most investors, I think, whenever they kind of get it wrong, especially whenever they jump into investing in real estate. And I want to say, I should clarify that most active investors, I think, get it wrong. A lot of people are attracted to real estate initially because, one, it can create an immense amount of cash flow and an immense amount of tax savings, and even some equity growth. But they try to nickel and dime their way there. They try to do the least amount of work possible. Okay. And they leave themselves exposed. And here's some various ways that they leave themselves exposed. Maybe they overinvest in their own backyard. Maybe they believe there's no possible way that you can make money in any other market than your market where you live. Okay. Maybe they try to skimp on any updates or upgrades to the property that are health and safety, or maybe otherwise that could protect them from, issues from their tenants. I know investors that pay as little as they possibly can for insurance. And then they find out at some point in time, whenever they need to use the insurance isn't going to cover them adequately. Right? That's a way that a lot of active investors leave themselves exposed. Or maybe they try to self-manage the deal themselves, and or pay as little as possible for property management. Now, I'm all for self-management if you are going to be an amazing property manager. But one of the reasons why we engage in property management, and especially if you're going to be investing over multiple markets, is that property manager is going to keep you compliant with the local housing laws, as well as eviction laws and just keep you on the up and up. All right. Another way that active investors have kind of get it wrong, leave themselves exposed, is they avoid getting an umbrella insurance policy or a commercial liability policy. Now, those type of policies actually help coordinate insurances across their various investments, but more importantly, it protects them from, should they get in a car wreck, that's their fault. It prevents somebody coming, from the top and attacking their portfolio from the top down. Okay. Liability at the property keeps the tenant or somebody, slip, trip, and falling on that local property from, getting access or ability to take the other properties from them. But we also need to protect our portfolio from the top down. Okay. Most people are probably, if they get exposed to something like that, it's going to be through an auto accident, or, if they, slander or libel, commit slander or libel. Okay. And then another way that active investors leave themselves exposed is that they avoid setting up the proper legal structures. For one reason or another, they either forgo it entirely because they don't see the advantage. They think they're protected well enough, or they pay as little as possible and they get what they ask for. All right, so let's see here. Then there are the people that just never have actually invested in passive real estate before. Okay. And those people, the negative stories prevail. Okay. They take a look at real estate in general. They take a look at passive real estate, and they're the what ifs, the what ifers that I call. What happens if a tenant never pays rent? Okay. What happens if there's property damage caused by the tenant? Okay. What happens if there's property damage caused by natural causes? What happens if a tenant sues? What happens if I get sued? Okay. Now, these all tie back to the legal advantages that investing in a passive deal could afford you. Okay. But in this type of scenario, we've got somebody who's not an active real estate investor. Rather, they want to kind of skip that part. They want to kind of take their income from their day job and then go right into passive real estate. Okay, income from their day job or their business and go right into passive real estate. But they got all these what ifs. They're afraid of the tenants, toilets, termites, and trash, the 4 T's of real estate. And they can't see beyond that. Even if you invest passively, you get a huge hedge legally on these type of investments that protect you. Okay. So that's why this is so important. Just like there's always ways to protect your capital, your cash flow, and equity investment, a passive real estate deal, if properly structured, mind you, can offer several legal advantages that can make it attractive for you as an investor to take advantage of. So let's tackle those. What are those? Okay, I identified 10 of them. I'm sure you guys are gonna, say, well, what about this one? There's other things too that can help guard us or provide a legal advantage as well. But I'm gonna just, touch on 10 here. Number one, right? Professional management. When you go into a passive deal, they're typically managed by operational professionals with not only expertise in real estate, but also expertise in reducing the burden of property management, maintenance, and day-to-day operations for their investors. Okay, the asset itself is professionally managed for you. Okay, so it's not like buying your own rentals or scaling your own rental portfolio, and you're still trying to do this with your day job, right? And you're trying to split time. When you invest in a passive deal, if you've underwritten the operator well enough, you should count on professional management to help navigate all the things that could happen in the environment for you. Number two, you should invest in a deal that has proper underwriting and due diligence. Okay, this can help legally protect you as well. So you want to make sure that you're working with a seasoned and trusted operator that has their systems in place. This gives you a legal hedge. Okay, if they know the asset class, they know the market, they know their due diligence strategies, and they're stress testing them. They have the ability to place capital, appropriate capital on the asset. They've got that team in place, and they've got the team to asset manage the asset. Remember, going back to professional management, number one that we just covered, and the ability to take the asset full cycle. Okay. Number three, investing in a passive deal can actually help reduce your legal exposure. Okay. This is fantastic for people that are like, say, doctors, lawyers, maybe a business owner, and they were like, wow, I would love to have the advantage of, invest in real estate, but it's just too risky for me to place that myself. Okay. There's kind of a wall here when you invest in a passive deal. That deal is contained within an LLC, but also since you're not actively managing it and you just hold shares within the operating company that's managing the asset, there's a lot of reduced legal exposure here for you. Okay. That legal responsibility, or you no longer have that legal responsibility for managing and complying with local laws and regulations, because that falls to the management team and the general partners, therefore reducing not only the burden on you as an individual investor, but also that legal exposure. I like calling this just being a great landlord. Okay. When you are looking at operators to invest with, you want to, that no love and trust triangle that I talk about, that Dan Hanford, one of our managing partners, talks about all too often, is like, you want to work with people that are just going to be great landlords, great managers of that asset. Okay. Number four, make sure that asset is properly insured. Right now, your professional team should be doing this for you. This is something that you should check on due diligence. But again, this can help hedge a lot of legal risk for you as well. Okay, you want to make sure you're working with a seasoned and trusted operator that has completed all of the environmental surveys for the property. Okay, the bank, who's if they're getting a loan, the bank should have forced this as part of the closing process. You just want to work with an operator that has that foresight to do this on their own, regardless of what the bank says. You want to make sure that that operator is securing proper liability insurance. Again, that's going to, help protect you for anything that's happening on the property. Okay. But it also is going to protect the business entity that you're investing in. And then, if that property actually is in like an inclement weather type of environment, make sure that they're securing additional insurance to cover any other weather-related events or events that property might be subjected to. All right, this, I'll call it what it is. Like if there's if it's in a flooding area or like, prone to hurricanes or some other sort of natural event, you want to make sure they're getting the proper insurance. All right. Number 5, okay, taking advantage, when you invest in a passive deal, you get to take advantage of the legal liabilities that are afforded through investing in an entity. All right. Passive real estate investments, I mean, this could be REITs, limited partnerships, LLCs. They often provide limited liability to that investor. So again, another legal advantage. This means that your personal assets are typically protected from the debts and liabilities that the investment takes on. Okay, so that's an amazing kind of protection. Now you would have your original capital at risk more than likely, but past that, it's not like anybody can sue at the property level and then be able to come to you as a limited partner investor and say, hey, oh, by the way, in this like gajillion-dollar settlement, I need you to write me $1 bazillion. That just wouldn't happen through the natural structure of these type of investments. All right. Another legal advantage is transparency, right? And this boils down to, again, working with an operator, very clear here, that is abiding by the rules, okay, set out by the Securities and Exchange Commission. And that are the Regulation D rules. And we'll go over that here in a second. So passive investments often come with very clear disclosures, requirements, and financial reporting that's required, giving investors greater transparency into the performance of the asset. Now, Regulation D under the Securities and Exchange Commission, they could cover anything from crowdfunding through organization through a Regulation A fund, or it can be like a 506C deal or 506B deal. Those are different subsets of the Regulation A fund. But when you invest with an operator, they're going to structure what we call a private placement memorandum package. Okay, and that package actually includes 3 documents. It includes the private placement memorandum, a subscription agreement, and then the operating agreement. Okay, those 3 documents together are combined into what we loosely call the PPM. All right. That PPM is going to give you far greater clarity on who are the operators and the investment. How is this all structured? Who gets paid what and when? Okay, greater clarity than some investments that are just kind of like back of the napkin type thing, or partnerships that are handshake agreements. Okay, this is another way to reduce your exposure. Okay, your legal exposure. It's a legal advantage or a legal hedge here. We already kind of tapped into it a little bit as far as limited liability, but also you have limited personal involvement. Okay, so the passive real estate investment requires minimum active involvement from you. You're just underwriting the operator, the market, and the deal. And this frees up your time to pursue other things and other investments. That can be a really great legal hedge for you. Because you're not the active operator. Just by nature of your role, you're not putting yourself into that riskier position of being the active operator. All right. It also gives you access to larger projects. Okay. Normally, we consider this kind of like an investment hedge, but it can also be a legal hedge as well. A tenant who slips, trips, and falls in a single-family rental property probably is, more likely to sue their landlord and get, the house or the property, than they would one tenant in a, 400 unit building. That just would, the likelihood of losing that building to legal action, significantly reduced, right? Also, this gives you, investing in larger projects as a passive investor, it just gives you, access to these type of projects beyond to what you could probably get yourself. I mean, I don't have $80 million sitting in my bank account to go buy the next multifamily building right now. You also reduced from legal, you get a legal hedge here because you're reducing your market exposure. Okay, now This does require you as a passive investor to do this pretty actively, but investing passively can provide exposure to real estate markets that you might actually not have ever had access to, potentially allowing you to benefit from market trends in different regions. We can also flip that on its head. You can also, live where you want and invest where it makes sense. Say, like, you live in California, you can invest in other states that have like far better legal structures to them. As far as like how they work from a tax standpoint, work from a landlord friendly standpoint. So that's just one way there that you can hedge legally your exposure, because maybe you don't like where you live, it doesn't make sense to be a landlord in your area. How can you invest in another market where it does make sense to be a landlord? All right, we're getting down to our last couple, but diversification. All right. This can be a legal hedge as well, because passive real estate allows you to diversify your investment portfolio without the need to manage multiple properties. Okay. This can give you a hedge because you're spreading your risk across operators, markets, and deals. Okay. Another way to put this, another way to spin this, is that you are not having to become the expert in every single type of asset structure, every market. You can tap into experts that have that team already built in place. Okay. That allows you, if you only have X number of dollars to invest, you don't become, again, super concentrated in any one market or deal. You can actually divvy that up across multiple operators, markets, and deals, and really hedge your legal risk that way. Another way to kind of illustrate this is, if you had $1 million or $10 million, do you place it all with one operator, or do you place $3 million across three? That would reduce your legal risk as well. But it's far easier to do that if you invest passively than if you invested actively. All right, guys, we covered a lot of ground today. I'm going to open up to a live Q&A session for all of those people here who are joining me on the webinar live today. But if you're listening on your favorite podcast player of choice or on YouTube, this is your call to action. Jump on over to passiveinvestingwithwhitney.com. There you can register. We can have a free one-on-one conversation to discuss your passive investing goals. You also get free access to our Passive Investing Made Simple Masterclass and boot camps, and priority access to our open deals. All right, guys, I look forward to meeting you at a future date. Take advantage of this offer, passiveinvestingwithwhitney.com. If you're here live, don't go anywhere.